Williams, Aaron Troya, Sherry Pickering.
Here.
Michael Kane, Bob Iverson.
Here.
Rick Streeting, Mike Poor, Steve Foster.
Present.
Sharon McMahon, Brenda Brown.
Present.
RJ Davis, Dan Duncan, James Bouchard, Tom Stone. 5 present.
5 present. Let the record reflect that we also have with us City Clerk Lisa Monson, IT Administrator Agnel De Silva. We have City Engineer Sam Cole, Corporation Counsel Chuck Mockbee, Comptroller Ashlyn Massey, our Human Relations Administrator Sandra Finch, and also our Assistant IT Manager Aaron Weaver, who's running the streaming for us. So thank you guys. I appreciate you very much for coming. I do have my phone in my hand. It's because I forgot to print our agenda for this. I do have my budget and such in front of me, but I forgot to print the agenda, so I apologize for that. Are there any audience comments this evening?
No, Mayor.
Okay, no audience comments. Oh, thanks, Lisa. So we have before you the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. I think we'll go ahead and start off, and I'm going to have our comptroller talk us through any of the high-level changes, and then what we can do is get into the nitty-gritty and answer questions that folks have about various items.
Sure. So the only changes are the same ones that I listed at the city council meeting on Tuesday evening. Those are updates to the commercial insurance, which includes worker comp and general liability. We received our renewal quote, and so those updated numbers have been plugged in, and that will affect various funds throughout the budget. In your budget binder, there's a final library budget and levy request for your viewing. Office supplies lines have been added to the various general fund departments, and the central purchasing line has been defunded. This puts supplies purchasing power back in the hands of individual departments as opposed to a central purchasing that takes place in finance. The Harrison Park budget, the first draft had a deficit of $50,000, and we've gone back together with Director Carpenter and Brock, and we've made some even tighter cuts and brought that up to a deficit of $25,000. With coronavirus, hotel motel tax has been hit pretty hard. So that's about as lean as it can possibly be. Small change in the police budget. The internet/telephone line has been increased to reflect the community camera costs. Various revenue projections were updated. And that's all the changes between the first and the second draft. So.
Sewer fund changes too, Ashlyn.
Yeah. Yes.
So we'll go ahead and just start with any questions you might have, and if it'd be all right with everyone, since Chairman Foster we know has to go soon, I'll start with him. Chairman, do you have any questions or comments for us this evening? Chairman, you're muted still. Yeah. There you go.
Well, I reviewed what she sent, and I appreciate that, but I'm assuming you may have some things later on to put up on the screen we can all view rather than try and read things in my light here and stuff of that nature. But I marvel at the fact that you got a decent budget without a really heavy tax levy increase. So I'm pleased with that. I glad that we didn't spend our money from the suspected casinos on something that's critical, because the way you did it, you simply backed out what we're going to spend, to compensate for what we're not going to get. So I think that's good budgeting, and I may want to jump in there as I know him to do. However, for now, that's all I need to say.
All right, thank you, Chairman Foster. Chairman Poor.
Thank you, Mayor. Steve, just want to give you a heads up that that Harrison Park budget amendment will be coming to your committee, so it can be acted on by December, if that's okay with you. But then on the sewer, you're basically, the sewer service charges, this is on page 119. We're basically going up about 1.65 million or so. But since we're not going to enact it until October of 2021, right?
Correct.
And then what's down at the bottom that says new with an exclamation point, fee in lieu, stormwater $100.
I can let Sam take that, or I can answer it. It doesn't matter. Sam might prefer to answer it though.
No, I don't. So that's an item. Our stormwater ordinance allows for developers under certain circumstances where they are not able to meet the stormwater detention or water quality requirements to pay a fee instead of doing that, provided that they don't cause negative impacts and we deem that it's, you know, acceptable. In that case, they pay that fee. We currently have we have received funds for that this year. We just don't have a line item to account for receiving it. So we want to track that separately. And that's why we are in creating this line basically. So I think this year we received revenues probably approaching maybe even $100,000 on that. Maybe it's not, probably $75,000 to $100,000 range on that so far. So we thought it warranted its own line.
Okay. And then one other question, the loan, this is on page 118, new loan repayment EPA SRF program. Is that the Denmark project or?
Yes, that's the sewer project, correct. Okay. And I don't think we've seen the final, while we have a loan agreement, I don't think it said specifically, here's your exact payment amount yet. It's, you know, it's stated what we're borrowing and the terms, but that's approximately what we've calculated it to be. So
the 362 that was in this year's budget, this coming year, 21-22 fiscal year will be 300,000, but
yes, we budgeted in the last year for that, hoping that it would be off the ground. It obviously took a little longer, and one, the bids came in more favorably, and two, we got more forgiveness than what we thought in the loan. So we're actually going to be budgeting less for that loan payment than what we thought we were going to have to previously.
And then I think it had been discussed before that amount actually was that with that 0.25% sales tax or something. Is that what? There was some discussion on that. Why weren't we using the sales tax to pay that or something? Or am I misunderstanding something?
Previously, this home rule sales tax that was in the sewer fund was tied to stormwater maintenance.
Okay.
Supposedly, it was directly related to another line in the budget.
But it was about that amount there, wasn't it?
$373,775.
Okay. That's really all I have. I just commend everybody for putting this together and the cost saving measures everybody's taken on, especially in lieu of, like everybody says, in lieu of COVID and the drops in revenues and everything else. I mean, it's a pretty darn good budget.
Thank you, Chairman. Alderman Brown. Do you have any
I'm fine.
comments or
The only
questions?
concern I had earlier this year, I'd asked about the mowing, the maintenance of the city lots. You know, I talked to Director Carpenter about, and the vacant lots that the city mows, that instead of every 6 weeks, we could do it more often. Yeah, just to do it more often. And I see what is budgeted here. I don't know if that was considered or not in that budget to.
What page? I'm pretty sure that we increased that.
It is. This increases. Wait a minute, I got the wrong page. Wait, no, here it is. Yeah.
Page
It's
31.
It's 110,000.
Yes, that was taken into consideration when we were choosing a number for that line.
Okay.
Your comments directly came up and influenced that conversation. So.
Okay, that's only concern I had. Actually, it's like this good budget. I think, like I said, considering where everything is at now, not only in Danville but the whole country, I think we're okay. And I was just concerned about that for the summer months, the mowing of those lots. That's the only question I had.
Thank you, Alderman Brown. Alderman Iverson.
Yes, I had the same questions that I think Mike and Steve have mentioned about the storm and sanitary sewer fund, but I've talked to the controller and she and I have been emailing back and forth. She did a really nice job of explaining it to me, which sometimes takes a few extra steps to explain budgets to me. But no, I think she did a good job. I appreciate her letting me know where that stands. I agree with what's been said so far, and I'm sorry there's not more of the aldermen here to say this, but I think the budget, considering the uncertainties that you've had to live with, and the casino being dropped altogether out of it, I think it's amazing that you've done as well as you have. It's a good tight budget, all things considered. My fear is that we haven't really seen COVID as much as we probably will, because the first half of our current fiscal year, we did okay. Then COVID hit us. Now I'm afraid we're going to get an entire year of COVID. So in the long run, we may be overly optimistic, but let's hope for the best and plan with as much as we could. I think, all things considered, it's really good. I know people always have a tendency to look at the general fund and the tax levy and think that's everything. I know I've had problems with that too in the past, going, oh, that's all taxes. Well, that's only 25, and then there's another 39 million in the other funds. But again, I think considering what we've had and how we're making up some things that haven't been done for years, I congratulate what your team has done to this point.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I appreciate that. I just want to reiterate, we have gone with conservative projections. Also, just so you'll know, these revenue projections it doesn't start, the new fiscal year doesn't start until May.
Mhm.
I know that there's so much uncertainty, but with conservative fiscal projections, revenue projections, combined with the fact that we've got 6 months before we would start collecting any of these revenues, my prayer is that these vaccines continue to do well, and that we will be able to be in a much better place by the end of the spring. So let us all continue to pray that,
Yeah, unfortunately, there's still, things, as it just got more dumped on us. Even on the arena board, which I'm on the board, they've now, and we've had been able to do very little because of the ice and stuff. But now we've stopped all the room rentals because under the new tier that we're under, we can't have people coming in the room. So that's one more financial hit to the arena board. And, we're going to be feeling that. I'm sure Harrison Park can't rent things out. It's a bad situation. We're doing the best you can, I guess.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that comment. Alderman Pickering, do you have any questions, comments, concerns?
Yes, I do. First of all, I would like to commend all the directors and their departments. I think they've done a great job in keeping this budget in hand. Great job. The other thing, and I'm sorry I haven't got a hold of the comptroller before now, but I do have a question on 310. And on my pages might be off. I don't, because some of the pages they said I couldn't find, but this is,
My pages are different too than what Mike said.
I think that's budget binder PDF pages at the top versus the page numbers on the bottom. That's
okay.
printed.
Okay.
I think that makes it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is on page
Alderman Pickering, what page are you on?
page 64, 310.
Okay.
I want to know why are we spending, whereas the proposed budget for the expenditures, there's like $220 for dumping fees that we didn't pay before, and then there's 3 other fees on there. Why are we taking that now out of 310?
That's a great question. If you look at last year's or the current budget that we're in under community investment, so line 54177, there was one large amount, $726,000 and some change that was budgeted there. We thought it would be better. There's a large number of types of expenditures being run through that community investment line right now. So it's hard to track whether this is related to dumping specifically, whether this is related to hiring out professional services, whether this is related to this or that. So we thought it would be better to split that out amongst various line items so that when we're running reports, we can see where we're at as far as spending in different categories.
Okay.
So
What was the line item you said that come from, the other?
54177 is in the budget we're in now, where all of that's being funneled through. So we decided to split that out amongst a couple different lines to better track that.
So then that's why the line 54177 is down to 240,000. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that's with my other question, why that was down to 240. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Alderman Pickering, do you have any other questions or comments or?
No, other than great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman, what other questions or comments or concerns, if any, do you have for our team? Well,
Mayor, is the state funds coming in pretty much on time, or are we going to see a lag in that, or?
No, they've been coming in on time.
Okay.
And we did, I will say, we can celebrate this. We just got our first Cures reimbursement today.
Great.
That was very satisfying. Months in the making.
Now, how does that come in play with the budget? I mean, is that just how does that come in play?
That will not affect next year's budget at all. When I brought the agreement with the state for the CARES or Cures program, I asked for you to give me authority to create the revenue lines needed. So
Right.
There's a line item in general fund called CARES, there's a line item in sewer, solid waste, Harrison Park, and capital improvements so far. So
Okay.
wherever those expenditures were coming out of, I'm receipting them right back. It is being receipted as a revenue. It's not going back into that expenditure line, but
Okay.
I anticipate we'll see the benefit of that in our cash balance at the end of this fiscal year. So to take us into the uncertain year next year.
So any salaries that it would take care of would be in the general fund then?
So I just submitted, it's depending on where the salaries were coming out of. So that's the reason there's a Cures reimbursement under sewer, solid waste, and Harrison Park, is because those that we put on administrative leave due to COVID back in March and April, when we were really uncertain on things, parts of salaries came out of those funds. So that money is making those funds whole. I just put in Monday of this week the reimbursement request to Cures for our police department. That totaled $921,000. So I'm hoping to see that in the next couple weeks.
And what about our fire department? I'm sorry, what about our fire department?
Well, our allotment's only 1.36 million. So they both come out of the same fund. So I just chose the department.
Public safety. Okay.
Yes, I just chose the department that was easiest to run payroll reports on, so I could get it done as quick as possible.
I might ask a couple of things before I take off. I really don't have to leave in 20 minutes or so. One of the things is, I think we need to realize about the meeting tonight itself, we have a low attendance, but it doesn't mean, because I understand that this is probably being recorded and will be viewable on somewhere on the internet. Is that correct, for those of you that know what's happening?
Yes, sir.
Okay, having said that, even the media may tune in later and watch the meeting. So what we might try and do is make some general points, which could be their sound bites, and I'll ask a question of that nature, okay? What do we estimate with this budget to likely be our balance in the general fund? Because we've been down to like 200,000 or 300,000 or less many years, we know. And even when we passed ordinance years ago to try and keep it at $1 million, we just couldn't do it. So that's the kind of thing that I think the public would like to know if they're tuning in, those types of projections.
What our cash fund balance is for the general fund?
At the end of the year, what are you estimating it to be?
Chairman Foster, I think you're asking about like our general fund reserve, correct?
Yes, and also I didn't print out the budget because I don't have that much paper left. you know, so, and if I open it online, which I know I could, then I can't see who's talking. You know, the screen gets too crowded.
Okay.
So having said that, yes, people like to know, at the end of the year, what do you think we'll end up with in cash is the bottom line. You can call it whatever you want, but the general public just want to know if we bankrupt or not.
Sure. So this budget is projecting a surplus of $27,000. That's not our general fund reserve, but that's what we anticipate to make more than we plan to spend in this coming year's budget. We ended the last fiscal year with over $5 million in our general fund reserve.
Okay. What do you think the general fund reserve will be at the end of this budget year that we're talking about?
I'm not comfortable making that statement because we might have to make additional contributions to our pensions. We might have to, our general liability and workers' comp insurance might go up more than the 15% that I'm projecting, but we have more than $5 million in cash right now for general fund.
So you anticipate, let's say by the end of this current fiscal year, we might have something similar for the next year. And what would it be what are you estimating at the end of this year? I think you do have that. I saw that somewhere.
Thanks. Ashlyn, I think he's asking about from the cash flow report.
Uh-oh.
It could be. It shows the balance we're going to have left after we did what we had to do.
Ashlyn, it looks like 5.7.
Okay.
That's really unbelievably good because I remember when it was 200,000 or 300,000. If we got lucky, got down, we even had to take some short range notes to meet some obligations years ago. Cash flow notes, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's assuming no budget amendments between now and the end of the fiscal year.
Well, that's a lot of money, and I'm glad to hear it. Considering what expenses we have had, and that doesn't count really some of the grants that may be coming in yet, right? I don't know how fast we're going to be paying them on the Corona.
Ashlyn, does that include the projections with the cures reimbursements or not yet because we're uncertain?
No, it does not.
So it could be, so Chairman, the position could be substantially improved.
Okay. Well, those are the kind of things that people would ask me, about the budget. And I'm sure other aldermen have thoughts about what they're being asked to. So I'm done here.
Thank you. Yes, Alderman Pickering.
Couple things. First of all, the tax levy, great. We're going to have the same tax levy. I think that's wonderful. The other thing I noticed that the cannabis tax transfer, that it's going more towards our police and pension and fire pension fund, correct? We had an increase in that.
100% of the cannabis revenue collected, the 3% retailers' occupation tax for cannabis is going to our pensions. Yes, I did project an increase. Based on actuals we've received the last 3 months, they've all been over $50,000, which I was originally projecting around $30,000 a month. So I changed that estimate to $50,000 a month. So
good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Alderman Pickering. Vice Mayor Iverson.
Yeah, I guess we know now what people are doing when they're staying home since the cannabis level is way up. And also I've noticed while a hotel motel rate is down, the liquor tax is doing well. So I don't know what shows the hard times. What I was going to ask, Mayor, in sort of the same vein of what Steve was asking, what's the best way to say the total budget is? Is it the $55 million or is it the subtotal of $63 million, but then you have the $8 million of transfers? If someone says, what's your total budget? What's the best answer?
total expenditures less transfers, the 55,000 or 55 million.
So 55 million is, if someone
Yes.
says, what is it? That's what we tell them. Okay, great.
Total city budget.
Yeah.
Alderman, any other questions? And if not, department and division heads, do you have anything that you would like to state or share with our aldermen? All right, well, Goodness, I'm thankful, but it makes me a little bit nervous. I can't ever recall having a budget study session like this, Chair and Chairman. I mean, Alderman P, Alderman Brown, you guys have been with us for a while. Thank the Lord, He's brought us a mighty long way, huh?
Yes, he is.
Yes, he has.
Yes,
I do have one small thing, if there's a second. I just
Sure, Ashley.
want to say that this has been a really wild first year in this chair and doing this job, and I couldn't do it without the other department heads and mayor. There were some uncomfortable budget conversations, and everyone is feeling the pain of COVID, but we did it as a team and we did it together. And I'm just really grateful that I sit across the table from these people. So that's it.
Thank you, Ashley.
Ashlyn, I would just like to say that I appreciate all your help with what you're doing for your first year. It's your first year tackling this, and you hadn't been here a whole year. I think that your work is very good. I'll put it like that. And help with this budget. I thank you.
And that coming from an accountant, so that's a high praise.
But this isn't easy work.
No, it's not.
That's good.
I would completely agree with Alderman Brown on that too. I've had several sessions with the controller, and she's always been very helpful and straightforward and explains it in a way that, non-accountants can understand it, which is not always the case I've gotten in the years and places I've worked. So I've appreciated her being forthright.
Thank you. Chairman Ford.
thank you, Mayor. As you all know, my computer email was hacked. Finally got it all resolved. Agnell helped me last night, yesterday afternoon, last night. Figured out somebody had gotten into my personal email somehow, set up a account from England and routed all my emails to a phantom email account. I wasn't getting any emails. Then they were sending out things about Amazon and things. So he went in, changed all my stuff. So I think we're good to go. So I think now, Agnell, if they get an email from me, it should be safe, right?
Yeah, it should be good. It's pretty good. I mean, locked down pretty good now.
That's a scary feeling. I'll tell you what, I had to go in and change anything I had a password on. I changed just to, because I was so scared.
Yeah, well, Mike, excuse me, I'm a little curious. Now, that email you sent me yesterday that told me I won the lottery and I had to send you 10 grand, that's no good?
Well, no, you can
What the hell's going on here?
You can send me 10 grand though, Steve.
Yeah, now there's a spec,
Well,
she'll take the 10 grand.
At least give me your new email address so I know where to send it.
Yeah, so be careful. I mean, and that's like Agnell says, I mean, don't, I'm very cautious when I open up an email if I don't recognize it, but I guess they can still get in and find you somehow. But I just hope nobody opened that up, because otherwise they're compromised too.
And I'm glad that Agnell sent out that note, because I got
Yes.
one of those from you, Mike, and I
Yes.
didn't open it
Yeah.
because of him.
Just shortly after, too, I might add.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Listen, Mayor, I assume you're going to adjourn. Could you do me a big favor? I've been trying to get a hold of you all day. I don't dial in until 10 minutes. It's in Tucson.
I'll give you.
Could you give me a quick call?
Yes, sir. I apologize. I've literally been in interviews all day. The last part, in meetings all day. The last part of my day was interviewing candidates for Vermilion Advantage CEO, and I'm really excited to tell you that I think we're going to be in good shape. We will hopefully make a decision early next month and make a recommendation to the full board, and then the full board will act on that. So I'm hoping that next month, along with passing our budget and our levy and our tax levy and budget, that I'll be able to introduce you to the CEO, the permanent CEO of Vermilion Advantage. So also, you may have seen that we did review the casino application, and they intend to submit that tomorrow. So
Great. I was just going to ask that.
So just pray again for favor and that things will go smoothly. I think the sooner that we can get that moving, the better. So, thank you all for your teamwork. I know that we'll have a public services meeting, but some of you I won't get to see again before then. So I just want to say I'm very thankful and very proud and honored to work with all of you. And I wish everyone the best Thanksgiving. Please be safe. And just know that among the things that I'm very thankful for are all of you. So I appreciate you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would concur. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
Having satisfied the agenda, we are adjourned.
I'll be
Bye,
standing
stay
by for your
safe.
call.
Have a good evening. Be safe.
Yeah,
Happy
everybody-
Thanksgiving.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
I'll stand by for your call, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.